Please be seated. Is there any pretrial matters to bring before the court? Please stand when addressing the court, counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Before we begin, may we please make introductions?
You may.
I, Olivia, together with my co-counsels Lila, Callie, and Dallin, will be representing the prosecution in today's case. We have a bench binder containing important case documents to tender to the bench. May my co-counsel approach and tender?
Has opposing counsel seen these documents?
Yes.
Is that your understanding, defense?
Yes.
You may approach. You may approach the bench with the binder, counsel.
Just take one of your binders up.
Okay.
And next week we'll have an actual binder, but thank you. I'll give it back to you. We'll have an actual binder. Anything further, plaintiff? Sorry, prosecution?
At this time, I would like to invoke Rule 615 and the constructive sequestration of all witnesses barring the party representative. The prosecution does not have a party representative.
Defense, do you have a party representative in today's case?
We do not.
You're the defendant. Are you calling the defendant today, defense?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Then the rule is invoked and all witnesses will be constructively sequestered barring the defendant.
We ask Your Honor's preference for asking permission to approach the bench opposing counsel and witnesses.
I would request, feel free to make use of the space as you see fit, counsel, when giving an opening or closing, and during any examination for that matter. I would ask that you make a record when approaching opposing counsel, approaching witness, and please ask permission before approaching the bench.
In the event of a sustained objection, should we ask that the testimony be stricken or should we assume it is pre-stricken?
Please ask for it to be stricken, counsel.
For the purpose of today's, when admitting exhibits into evidence, what would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
Yes, please, counsel.
For the purpose of today's trial, may we assume that all offensive testimonies for the record in the event of a sustained objection?
Sorry, counsel, what's your question?
For the purpose of today's trial, may we assume that all offensive testimony is stricken from the record in the event of a sustained objection?
Please ask for it to be stricken.
And with that, the prosecution is present and ready to proceed.
Defense?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Before we begin, may we please make introductions?
You may.
I, Freedom Magnuson, together with my co-counsels Greta Ferrix, Kelly Jacobson, and Lila Briggs, will be representing the defense in today's case. Our party representative is Danny Dawson.
Anything further?
Nothing.
Okay, let's move to opening statements. Prosecution?
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
May it please the court, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen, Danny Dawson did it. Good day, my name is Olivia Greer, and I am representing the state of Iowa in this case. We are here today because the defendant, Ms. Dawson, is being accused of arson in the second degree, and you will soon see we will prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant got good grades and was a good student, until she wasn't. On the date of the fire, the defendant and C.J. Schultz left Lab 2A and exited the building after completing a retake lab. The defendant then left CJ in the parking lot and re-entered the building, saying she needed to use the bathroom. Then, in the hallway by the bathroom, the defendant ran into Phoenix Blake, and they talked for a few minutes. After the chat, Phoenix left first, meaning that the defendant was left in the hallway alone. During this time, someone plugged in the hot plate at Station 1 and turned it to its maximum temperature, 700 degrees Fahrenheit. The hot plate was still found to be at this setting during the fire investigation. Based on the evidence you hear today, the defendant was angry about her recent grade and channeled this anger into destructive behavior. Today, the prosecution will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that one of the issues that caused the fire was not only the hot plate set to its maximum temperature, but also the chemicals that were available in the lab, which the defendant knew how to use. When she went back into the building and after talking to Phoenix, she was alone, as shown by the building entry and exit log. The defendant received a B- for her poetry. She had never gotten a bad grade before and was outraged, as evidenced by her behavior observed by 3 witnesses. This evidence shows that the defendant had the means, motive, and opportunity to commit this crime. The defendant did it. The state is pursuing a guilty verdict for second-degree arson. Arson in the second degree has 3 elements, which include that a fire was caused purposefully, the actions were taken to cause damage to the building, and the building destroyed as a building, structure, real property, standing crops, or personal property worth more than $500. The state will call 2 witnesses and 1 expert witness to the stand today. First, you will hear from Bobby Bunsen, who is a great friend and a roommate of the defendant. On March 3rd, Bobby stated that she saw 3 books on the counter, including one about how to operate hot plates. Bobby will also testify to the fact that the defendant kept repeating, "What do I do?" and saying that the investigators would want to talk to her. In her statement, Bobby will testify that when the defendant received this B-, the defendant punched the wall, creating a hole and damaging property. Second, you will hear from CJ Schultz, who is a peer of the defendant. CJ will testify that after re-entering the building and exiting, the defendant's mood had changed. The defendant seemed more agitated and worried. Lastly, you will hear from expert witness Sydney Stapp, the chief of the county fire department. Ms. Stapp will testify that Tabard University is safe and there were no underlying safety concerns. Chief Stapp also noted that the defendant was the last person out of the building and the hot plate's temperature was found at 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Prosecution will emphasize the defendant's behavior after she got the B- grade. The defendant purposefully caused a fire on March 5th, 2024, and the defendant knew her actions would destroy the building. The structure was a building, and the defense cannot contest that this was not a building or irrelevant. The defendant was angry about her grade, and we will show that the defendant did it. We ask that the jury find the defendant guilty of arson in the second degree. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Defense, opening statement.
May I proceed?
You may.
May it please the court, Your Honor, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen, this incident was simply an unfortunate string of events leading to a terrible accident. Good morning, I'm Frida Magnuson and I'm representing Danny Dawson in this case. On March 5th, 2024, the Paul and Francis Lubbock Natural Sciences building sustained significant fire damage, with the hot plate left in Lab 2A as the source of ignition. Prosecution has told you that Danny Dawson knowingly and intentionally started the fire. In reality, Danny Dawson, Phoenix Blake, and CJ Schultz exited Lab 2A that evening after a makeup lab. CJ, being their admittedly careless self, left the master switch on and accidentally turned the knob on their hot plate all the way to the right, which indicated a temperature of 700 degrees instead of all the way to the left to reach the off position. Additionally, today you will hear that Danny Dawson and Phoenix Blake both believe that Phoenix must have turned off the light switch, although CJ says she turned it off. If we can't completely trust CJ considering the light switch, how can we trust her when she says she also turned off the master power switch? The building also experienced a gas issue a few years ago and was scheduled for a checkup a few weeks after the fire on this very issue. This gas issue, along with numerous highly combustible chemicals in the lab, almost definitely contributed to the fire and its severity. This incident was simply an unfortunate series of events, as we all know that accidents happen, because after all, we're only human. My client has been charged with arson in the second degree. In order for her to be found guilty, the state of Iowa must prove 4 elements beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest burden in our criminal justice system. They must prove that the Lubbock building was a structure and that my client intended to destroy the property by causing a fire, and that she knew her actions would destroy it. If the state fails to prove even 1 element beyond a reasonable doubt, Danny Dawson must be found not guilty. Today, the defense will call 3 witnesses: Phoenix Blake, a junior at Tabard University as of 2024, Danny Dawson, a high-achieving student at Tabard, and the Honorable Elliot Dawson, a former judge and Danny's parent. Phoenix will supply numerous explanations of how this accident could have occurred and testify to the school's issues such as a previous gas leak, additionally supplying a timeline of the case, as they were there in the lab with Danny and CJ. The Honorable Elliot Dawson will tell you that Danny's tantrums, not unlike her reaction to a B- in poetry a few days before the fire, always ended within a couple of days and with multiple apologies. Danny Dawson will testify to CJ's carelessness, as she was in the lab with CJ and was an eyewitness to CJ leaving their hot plate centered on a lab table while they were supposed to put it away after leaving it to cool for 15 minutes. Danny will also testify to Phoenix's presence during Danny's only opportunity to start the fire. During this trial, we will prove that Danny Dawson did not, beyond a reasonable doubt, set a hot plate to 700 degrees knowing and intending that it would burn down the Paul and Francis Lubbock Natural Sciences Building on March 5th, 2024. Based on the evidence that will be given, we ask you to find the defendant, Danny Dawson, not guilty.
Thank you, counsel. Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call our first witness, Bobby Bunsen, to the stand.
Ms. Bunsen, please come to the stand.
May I proceed?
You may.
Please state your full name to the court.
Yes, hello. I am Bobby Bunsen.
Where do you live?
I lived with my at the time of the fire, I lived in Hines, Iowa, with my two roommates, Ruben McAllister and Danny Dawson. We called our house the Maverick, inspired by Top Gun.
What is your major?
I'm currently a senior majoring in art at Tabard University.
Where do you work?
I work at an art museum right now, where I hope to have my work hung someday. But right now, the only thing I'm hanging up is coats, but that's still progress.
Do you have any hobbies?
Yes, I do. I do art and play guitar and create my own music on Spotify. You can find me at Talk to Me Goose 114.
How was life growing up?
Life was not hard for me, but I didn't get everything handed to me like some people. I always had to scrounge the art room trash to find whatever I could to make a masterpiece.
Now let's talk about the defendant. How do you know Miss Dawson?
She was my roommate.
What do you know about the defendant's childhood?
Danny got everything she wanted. Don't get me wrong, she worked hard, but her parents were a TV judge and a famous scientist. So you could say she had pretty high expectations.
And did she meet those high expectations?
Oh yes, she never accepted anything less than a straight A.
Did she ever get a worse grade?
Only once. Unlike me, I have art in my DNA, but I guess Danny doesn't. She got a B- in poetry.
Where were you at the time Miss Dawson got that poetry grade?
As a matter of fact, I was with her in Peter Johnson Hall. We went there to find her grade on her professor's door.
Can you tell me some of the things the defendant did after she got her grade?
She scanned down the list to find her grade. She had gotten the B-. She looked so scared. She looked like she hadn't been able to take in a breath. She just left school and didn't come back.
When did you see her next?
I didn't see her until the next day. I went to stay at a friend's house because I wanted to give her some time to cool off.
Now I want to talk about the day after Miss Dawson received the grade. Can you describe the state of your apartment the next day?
When I arrived at my apartment the next day, everything was a total mess. It looked like a plane had just crashed into our house. There was books, paper, and pens everywhere, and there was even a hole punched in our wall.
I'm now showing the opposing counsel what has been marked as Exhibit 1. Would Your Honor like a copy?
Yes, please, counsel. Thank you.
I'm handing the witness what has been marked as Exhibit 1. What is this?
This is the email. This is the poem that Danny wrote.
Is it a true and accurate copy?
Yes, it is.
Have any changes been made?
No, there have not.
Then I move to admit Exhibit 10 into evidence.
Any objection? Who's our opposing counsel? You? Any objection, defense?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Any response as to lack of foundation, counselor?
Your Honor, this is not lack of foundation. The defendant is going to explain why we he did.
In response? Okay, the objection is overruled. Please continue. And the exhibit is omitted.
Was there anything special that stuck out to you in the kitchen?
Well, there was this poem, signed by Danny. Here, let me read you a part of it. Fire, fire, in the night. Fire, fire, in the night. Blazing inferno, in the night. You think you put me in my place. The flames will be seen in your family's face.
What was the other thing you noticed?
I noticed a book, all about hot plates.
I'm now approaching the witness to retrieve Exhibit 10. May I approach the bench to tender the exhibit?
You may. Thank you, counsel.
What had she done to release her anger about her grade?
She had stayed home for the next 2 days in her room, totally skipping class.
I'm now showing the opposing counsel as been marked as Exhibit 1. Would your honor like a courtesy copy?
Yes, please, counsel.
I'm handing the witness what has been marked as Exhibit 1. What is this?
This is the email that Danny sent to her professor.
Can you describe some of the things in the email that was sent to Professor Whitmore from Ms. Dawson?
Well, one thing that stuck out to me was the poem at the bottom. Through me you enter a city of woes. Through me you enter into eternal pain. She basically talked about regarding the email that Danny that she did dislike the grade and how she would make her professor pay if the grade was given to Danny on purpose.
I'm approaching the witness to retrieve Exhibit 1. May I approach the bench to tender the exhibit?
You may. Counsel, did you want to move this exhibit into evidence?
Oh. May I move to admit Exhibit 1 into evidence?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it's admitted.
Did she go back to school?
Yes, she went back to school on March 5th. She left around 6 a.m. and didn't come back until 8. I mean, I guess she had a lot of work to make up, but I couldn't ever spend 14 hours on an art project.
Now I would like to discuss the day of March 5th. Can you describe how Ms. Dawson was acting on the night of March 5th?
Well, she seemed a little more laid back than she had the past couple days. She seemed a lot better than how she had. We started up our usual routine of doing our homework, and we just got back to work.
What did you do after you were done with your schoolwork?
After we were done with our work, we went to go sit down on the couch to watch the nightly news at 10 p.m.
What was on TV?
That was when I first heard about the fire. It came up, and Danny got perked up in her seat and locked into what they were saying. I wanted to go to bed, but she stayed up.
What happened next?
After I went to bed, I didn't know it then, but Danny had subscribed to 3 other news services to figure out what was going on with the fire.
Now I would like to discuss the day after the fire, March 6th. What did the defendant do the day after the fire?
Well, when I woke up that morning, I went to go see if Danny was still there. She was still sitting on the couch watching the TV. I was kind of shocked that she had stayed up all night, but she was just waiting for more news.
Was there any more news coverage about the fire?
No, not until the noon news broadcast, where they said they were looking into the case as arson.
What did the defendant ask you to do after she found out the fire department was looking into the case of arson?
She asked me not to say anything about last night, as she was acting a little weird.
Finally, do you think Ms. Dawson could have committed this crime?
Yes, I do think she could have committed this crime.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any cross-examination?
Yes. May I proceed?
You may.
Let's talk about your relationship with the defendant. Were you friends at the time of the fire?
Yes, we were.
Ms. Dawson came to every one of your open mic nights, correct?
Yes, she did.
You stated that the defendant was maybe the perfect roommate, correct?
Yeah, she was such a neat freak.
Let's talk about some of Miss Dawson's habits. Did the defendant regularly clean up after herself?
Yes, she did.
Is it true that Miss Dawson's considerate when you need quiet or study time?
Yes, she's always considerate.
Now let's talk about your background. You were interested in art, correct?
Yes, I am.
But your parents couldn't pay for art supplies, right?
No, I had to go in the art bin trash to find whatever I could.
So you had to get them out of the dumpster.
Yes, I did.
So needless to say, it was hard to pursue your love of art because of money, correct?
Yes, it was.
Now I want to talk about the scholarship. You always thought you'd get the scholarship, correct?
Yes, I did.
But you didn't win it, did you?
No, I did not.
But Miss Dawson did, right?
Yes.
And it made life a lot harder for you not winning that scholarship, right?
It did, but I knew with hard work I could make it through.
But Miss Dawson didn't know it made life a lot harder for you.
No, she did not.
So that semester, when, well, you were struggling to make it to pay for the first semester, Miss Dawson didn't pay a single penny?
No, her parents paid for everything.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. Bobby Bunsen, you are relieved from the stand and may sit down.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Bunsen. Prosecution, you may call your second witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call C.J. Schultz to the stand.
Ms. Schultz, please come to the stand.
May we proceed?
You may.
Please state your name to the court.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is C.J. Schultz.
What brings you here today?
At the time of the fire, I was a junior studying chemistry at Tabard University.
Do you enjoy chemistry?
Yes, chemistry was the natural choice for me, since it's always been my favorite subject.
Do you have any hobbies?
Yes, in fact, I do. I'm an avid fan of battleball, of which I'm a referee for the intramural battleball league at school. I also volunteer at the Ames Middle School Science Bowl, since I am a previous champion.
Do you have a job?
No, I do not, but as I mentioned, I do keep pretty busy with all my hobbies.
What were you doing in the days leading up to the fire?
On March 2nd, I volunteered at another one of the Science Bowl competitions in Ames, and I spent all night driving and I didn't get home until late, so I did sleep through the lab. So on March 5th, I had to come back and make it up.
I would now like to talk about the day of the fire. What was the first thing you did when you arrived at the lab?
When I first arrived at around 5:15, I saw my friend Phoenix already set up at Station 6. So I just got my stuff all set up at Station 1, and Danny came in a little bit after.
Did you talk with the others?
Yeah, we did chat a bit. I talked a lot with Phoenix because, well, me and Phoenix are pretty close, and I talked a little with Danny too.
What did you do when the building closed?
Well, the building officially closes at 6, and since Danny's an avid rule follower, he obviously went down at 6, and we all followed suit. So we all went out to scan back in, but I hung around outside.
What did you do as the night went on?
As the night went on, we all just kept working through the night, and I finished a little before 7, cleaned up all my stuff, unplugged my hot plate, and I went to talk with
with Danny and Phoenix for a while, letting my hot plate cool.
What did you do when you left?
Right as we scanned out, Danny told me that he had to go back inside to use the restroom, and I stayed out for a smoke outside.
How long was Miss Dawson gone?
Miss Dawson was gone for a little while, but I'm not exactly sure how long it was.
Did you see her come back?
When she came back from the left side of the hallway, which was a little unusual.
Why? What is on the left side?
Well, the restrooms are on the right side, which is where I assumed she'd be coming from, but what is on the left side is Lab 2A.
Was her demeanor at all different than when she went in?
Well, when she came out really quick, like almost as if she had been running, and she was breathing heavily, like she was winded, which was odd.
Did you talk to her on your way back to your car?
Yes, as we were cutting across the softball field, we were talking, and it was kind of odd because she kept snapping at me, which was completely different from how she was acting before.
When did you split up?
Well, once we got to the parking lot, she abruptly jogged away and went to her car.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any cross-examination?
Yes. I would like to talk about the week before the fire. You were in Ames the week before, correct?
Yes, that is true.
Helping out with the science competition, right?
Yes, I was.
You got back late, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Making you sleep through the lab, correct?
Yes.
So you had to do a makeup on March 5th, correct?
Yes, I did.
I'd now like to talk about the day of the fire. You arrived at the lab later than you wanted, correct?
Yes, I did.
You had to do a lab with heating different chemicals, right?
Yes.
You said the lab was long and kind of boring, correct?
Yeah, I prefer more challenging chemistry.
You thought the solutions all looked the same after a while, didn't you?
Yes.
You admit you weren't triple checking every detail, correct?
No, I was not triple checking every little detail.
You went outside with the others at 6, correct?
Yes, around that time.
You stayed outside, didn't you?
Yes.
To smoke, correct?
Yes, I did.
For 5 minutes, right?
Yep, around 5 minutes.
You admit your mind wanders at times, correct?
Yes, at times it does.
You've gotten points off on your assignments before for not storing equipment properly, correct?
Yes, that is true.
You admit you were very hungry by the end of the lab, correct?
Yes, I was pretty hungry.
You left your hot plate out, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You left the building with Miss Dawson, correct?
Yes.
Miss Dawson re-entered the building, right?
Yes, she did.
And you stayed outside to smoke, correct?
Yes.
You saw Miss Dawson come back from the left side, right?
Yes.
The side with the lab, correct?
Yes.
From where you were standing, you did not have eyes on Danny the whole time she was inside the building, correct?
No, I did not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. Maybe my witness resume her seat.
She may. Thank you for your testimony. Prosecution may call the third witness.
Your Honor, may Sydney Stott please take the stand?
She may. Chief Stott?
Your Honor, may I proceed?
You may.
Please state your name for the court.
Good afternoon. My name is Sydney Stott.
Chief Stott, please tell the court a little about yourself.
For 17 years, I've served as the chief of the Leon County Fire Department, the LCFD. But prior to that, I received a degree in forensics and criminology in 1993 and a master's in business administration in 2008, both from Catholic University. After that, I worked in the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms before joining the LCFD, first as a volunteer firefighter, and then working my way up through the ranks and assisting the state crime lab with their investigations using a method called reading the fire.
Could you explain to the court what reading the fire is?
Of course, this is a process where we use visual clues and evidence to analyze how fires start and how they spread. Determining how a fire was ignited is one of the most crucial aspects of an arson investigation.
Tell the court about the night of the fire.
On March 5th, 2024, the Paul and Francis Lubin Natural Sciences building sustained significant fire-related damages. We received a call around 8:30 p.m. from Willie Bannister, the student safety officer, that night.
What happened when you arrived at the university?
When we arrived on the scene, a third of the building had already been destroyed. My team, in my search, led me to believe that the fire began around 7:45 p.m. that night. However, the building's concrete exterior and layout allowed it to go unnoticed for 45 minutes or so.
I'm showing the opposing counsel what has been marked as Exhibit 11. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
Yes, please, counsel. Thank you.
I'm handing the witness what has been marked as Exhibit 11. What is it?
This is a model of the hot plate that could only be found in Lab 2A.
Is it a true and accurate copy?
Yes, it is.
Have any changes been made?
No, they have not.
I move Exhibit 11 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
It's admitted.
How did the fire start?
We believe the fire's probable origin was Lab 2A on the second floor of the Lubin's Natural Sciences building. My investigation has led me to believe that the likely igniter for this fire was this hot plate that could only be found in Lab 2A, and it was set to the maximum temperature of 700 degrees Fahrenheit.
Your Honor, may I have permission to approach the bench to tender the exhibit?
You may. Thank you, counsel.
I'm showing the opposing counsel what has been marked as Exhibits 9 and 12. I'm handing the witness the exhibits that have been marked as Exhibit 9 and 12. What is Exhibit 9?
This is the Lubin Natural Sciences building's security log for the day of the fire, March 5th, 2024.
Is it a true and accurate copy?
Yes, it is.
Have any changes been made?
No, ma'am.
I move Exhibit 9 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
It's admitted.
What is Exhibit 11? 12.
This is Danny Dawson's Tab Red Tab social media post.
Is it a true and accurate copy?
Yes, it is.
Have any changes been made?
No, they have not.
I move Exhibit 12 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
It's admitted.
Then what happened?
Well, later, my team reviewed the security log from that night, and we learned that CJ Schultz and Danny Dawson exited out the east lot doors of the building at 7:24 p.m., and Phoenix Blake exited through the west lot doors at 7:33 p.m. Ms. Dawson immediately re-entered the building after leaving and did not exit again until 7:35 p.m. This was verified by her posts on Tablet Times.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I should mention that the doors in this building are faulty and may remain open for a few seconds or so after someone scans in using their ID card. We also saw a copy of Miss Dawson's threatening letter to her professor, who was married to a science professor, over a bad grade, which made her one of the lead suspects in this investigation. In my expert opinion, all the evidence points to the defendant.
Have you worked with the university before? Your Honor, may I have permission to approach a bench to attend these exams?
You may. Thank you, counsel.
Have you worked with the university before?
Yes, I attended Tabard University for my degrees, and I currently do community outreach in school drills at the university, which is where I met Lily Bannister, the student safety officer.
Was that the only time you worked with them?
No, I've also helped out with Tabard when they had a gas leak in the Lovins Natural Sciences building several years ago, and it was quickly taken care of.
How did the school react to the gas leak?
Well, the school alerted us at the LCFD, and we were able to respond immediately to this situation. We had scheduled a follow-up checkup for what would have been the weeks following the fire, but it got postponed.
Did the gas leak pose any danger?
This gas leak occurred several years ago, and afterwards, the building underwent intense repairs and inspection. We had scheduled a checkup for the time following the fire, but because of the major damage caused by the inferno, we had to postpone that. However, in my investigation, we ruled out the gas leak as a probable source of ignition, as there was no immediate indication that the gas leak had connected to the fire.
So if the gas leak couldn't have affected the fire, what could have?
Well, there were highly flammable chemicals inside the building that could have exacerbated the blaze if someone knew how to use them. When my team arrived on the scene, these chemicals were already consumed by the flames. The fire devastated the building and left only a few offices and lecture halls at the opposite end untouched.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Any cross-examination?
Yes. Let's talk about the attention the college pays to the building. The fire was reported by Willie Bannister, right?
Correct.
Is it true that he's a student safety officer?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And this fire started at about 7:45, is that true?
Yes, 7:45 p.m.
And the fire was reported at 8:30 p.m., is this correct?
Correct.
So this absence of supervision, it lasted at least 40 minutes before being reported?
True.
And students only had to scan their ID cards to open doors?
Yes, unless it had remained open.
Let's talk about the previous gas leak. There was a gas issue in the Lovin Sciences building a few years ago, right?
Correct.
And wasn't there supposed to be a checkup on this issue?
Yes, ma'am.
It was scheduled for a few weeks after the fire, right?
That is correct.
Wasn't the gas leak documented as part of the building safety history?
That is correct.
And circling back to the fire, wasn't the damage to the site quite extensive?
It was a third of the building was damaged.
So extensive that you couldn't tell if any substances affected the burn rate?
No, we cannot.
Couldn't gas be categorized as a flammable substance?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay, let's talk about the Lovin Sciences building security footage. On the security footage, you saw a figure enter Lab 2A at 7:29 p.m., right?
Correct.
You couldn't tell who it was, is that true?
Also true.
The person left shortly after, right?
That is true.
And according to the access logs, Phoenix Blake left the building at 7:33, right?
That is correct.
So she was in the building when the unidentified person left at 7:29?
Correct.
And there's no way to prove it was Danny who entered?
No, all we can tell is that the figure.
Did Phoenix exit the building 4 minutes after this person entered Lab 2A?
Correct.
And wouldn't that mean Phoenix was almost definitely still talking to Miss Dawson when someone entered Lab 2A?
That is possible.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. May my witness be dismissed?
She may. Thank you for your testimony, Chief Staff. Any further witnesses for the prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further from the prosecution then?
No.
Okay. With that, that, we'll move to the defense case in chief. Before we move on to that, let's take a 5-minute recess for the parties to collect themselves. It is currently 2:18 p.m. Let's reconvene at 2:23.